for having me.
So we are excited to have Rob with us. How many of you know Rob from the radio or from his podcast or from any of the things that he has done?
Oh, cool. How many people don't know me? Who doesn't know has no idea who I am?
How many of you have never really listened to the radio ever before in your life?
Yeah, what is a radio?
What is a radio? Exactly, exactly. Well, hey, tonight, Rob and I are just going to have a seat tonight, and we're going to talk, and we're going to kind of walk through his story tonight and what God has brought him through and where he is today. Rob and I had the privilege of meeting about 3 years ago now, almost going on 3 years.
Yeah.
Sarah Vogel introduced us to one another, but you guys know how this goes. Anytime we have a special guest, we like to play a little game called Would You Rather.
Okay.
So,
don't make that face. Now I'm nervous.
Yeah, sound a little bit nervous. Would you rather? And I did not give Rob the would you rather questions, so he does not have those. So he has no idea what we're going to ask. You are more than welcome to respond as well to the would you rather questions with some of your own answers as they are getting that. Are we ready to go? It should be in the drop box in there, ready to happen, ready to go. Well, if it is your first time being with us, I want to say welcome. My name is Pastor Micah. I'm so glad that you're here. We do this every Wednesday night, 6:30 to 8:30, and we are just so excited for what God is doing in this place and what is happening. And I'm just trying to kill time right now so that we can.
You're doing a good job of stalling.
Doing a good job at stalling, so that's
What
good.
are you stalling for? What's happening?
We have our slides that are supposed to be put up. There you go. Would you rather RobZ? I did use the picture.
I need to get those glasses actually made.
Would you guys wear RobZ glasses if you got them made?
If they looked like that?
If they look like that.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. We're gonna start out a little easy, and then we're gonna really work our way into this.
Okay.
All right, so the first would you rather question is, would you rather have to ride a donkey every day or have to ride a giraffe every day? If you say donkey, give me a 1. If you say giraffe, give me a 2. All right.
How do you ride a giraffe? It's not even possible. If you slide off of it.
You need a ladder to get up to it.
Yeah. I think I'd go with the donkey, guys, and I apologize to the giraffe fans.
All right, so that's good.
This seems dangerous.
It does seem dangerous. Okay, now this is when it gets really weird really quickly. Would you rather have edible spaghetti hair that regrows every night or sweat, not sweet, sweat maple syrup? How many number ones we got? Have edible spaghetti. Would you eat your own spaghetti hair though? Like, would you be chowing down in class? Or would you rather sweat maple syrup? That would make, like, Manny, you would be a sticky mess playing football if you sweated.
Bees would be attacking you and stuff. It just seems like a bad idea.
So are we going with which one?
Yeah, I'd go with the spaghetti hair for sure.
Spaghetti hair?
Yeah.
All right, spaghetti hair for the win on that one.
So if I don't eat it, though, does it keep growing?
That's a good question.
Like, if I just didn't eat my hair, would it just, like, every night just grow extremely long?
That'd be a lot of spaghetti. A whole lot.
Would my shampoo be, like, marinara sauce? Like,
there you go.
What would I do?
Little Alfredo and butter, throw it on there, a little Parmesan.
People are dipping breadsticks in my hair and stuff.
So, would you rather be unable to move your body every time it rains or not be able to stop moving while the sun is out?
Oh, wow. 2, definitely, yeah.
2?
Not be able to stop moving while the sun is out.
Not be able to stop moving when the sun is out. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather have all dogs try to attack you when they see you or have all birds try to attack you when they see you?
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'll tell you this. I will definitely go with the birds because I will stay inside. But what if someone has a parrot?
If they have a parrot. I'm just thinking, like, you can't see a bird from the sky attacking you probably, so it'd be coming out of nowhere. The dogs, at least, you could probably see them coming at you.
How many go with birds? Number 2. How many are doing number 2, birds?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the birds. I'd rather have the birds attack me. I've seen that movie.
Yeah, all right. So here's a fun one. Would you rather be compelled to high-five everyone you meet or be compelled to give wedgies to anyone in a green shirt? And you are wearing a green shirt, so you would have to start with yourself.
Give myself a wedgie?
Give yourself a wedgie.
I do love Captain Underpants, so I'd have to go with the wedgie.
The
number
wedgie.
2, yeah.
Number 2.
I mean, I love, like, giving people high fives, but If it's a nice wedgie, like I'm not trying to be rude about it.
Not like hanging them up on the fence post wedgie.
It's just like wedgie, just a little bit. Just
little bit. Some of you are laughing
I would
about
like to do that.
All right. Would you rather have skin that changes color based on your emotions or tattoos appear all over your body depicting what you did yesterday?
Like everything that I did. That might keep me on the straight and narrow, so maybe I'd go with number 2.
It's number 2? I don't know.
I wouldn't want people to know my mood, my emotion based on my skin color.
I will go with 1. I cannot do 2. 2 would not be good. All right, here's a really good one. Would you rather time travel forward or backward 20 years every time you fart?
That'd be a lot of time travel.
Or teleport to a different place on Earth, on land, not water, every time you sneeze?
Wow. Well, if I did number 1, I would be traveling a lot, like all day long.
All day long.
And number 2, I guess I'd go with number 2, to teleport to a different place on Earth. How would you get anything done?
I don't know.
I would just try to not sneeze, I guess.
My problem is I sneeze in 3s. So I would be like, boom, boom, boom. Like I'd be at 3 different places like that, because it's always in 3s.
She'll sneeze, like, no lie, 13 times in a row. It's like this rapid fire, uncontrollable sneeze.
So she'd be like, bing, 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 bing. Nene would be everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be wild to see.
That would be wild. Okay. Would you rather have everything you draw become real but be permanently terrible at drawing, or be able to fly but only as fast as you can walk?
Oh, the flying for sure. I can walk pretty fast.
You can walk fast. You're a fast walker.
I'm a fast walker, so.
Fast walker. I think a lot of people are doing number 2.
Yeah.
I see one number 1.
Good choice, guys.
Some number 2s. All right. Would you rather 30 butterflies instantly appear from nowhere every time you sneeze, or have one very angry squirrel appear from nowhere every time you cough?
I don't want angry squirrels coming after me, man. I'd go with number 1. Yeah, squirrels make me feel weird. I don't trust squirrels.
When I lived in Pittsburgh, we used to have this squirrel that literally would throw acorns at you if you walked past it. And it didn't like cars either.
They like the opposable thumb, though. How did they?
He just chucked it. Like, you would hear all day, if you parked your car underneath the tree, ding, 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 all day.
Yeah, I don't trust squirrels. They're weird.
I don't either. So who's going with number 1? Who's going number 2? All right, number 1 or 2. All right.
Oh, should I wait for them to say before am I answering too quickly?
No, you're good.
Okay.
All right, now this is a tricky one. Would you rather eat a sandwich made from 4 ingredients in your fridge, chosen at random, or eat a sandwich made by a group of your friends from 4 ingredients in your fridge?
I would, do you ever Put It on a Cracker? Do you ever play that game? You put random things on a cracker and you have to find out what they are.
No, that sounds like a really fun game.
It's a really fun game. I would say number 1, because my friends would really try to mess with me, I'm sure. I imagine you would put something really strange on there. Or would you go light on me?
I would not go light on you.
I didn't think so.
Whatsoever.
See, that's what I'm saying.
No.
I would go with the random one for sure.
I'd be reaching in the back of the fridge. How many of you are number 1 here? Number 1 and number 2. All right. Now, this is our last one.
Okay.
Would you rather have everyone be required to wear identical silver jumpsuits, or anytime 2 people meet and are wearing identical articles of clothing, they must fight till one cries?
What? I don't want anybody to cry. I'll go with number 1. Yeah, number 1.
Number 1? How many going number 1? Number 1? Number 1?
They're going with 2.
Put number 1 or 2. I want you to see this. I don't know if people watching can see this. Majority of the girls have number 2 up. These girls are ready to fight people, man.
How quickly do you cry in a fight?
Like
That's
they
the
are
question.
about, like they are about. All the guys are like, silver jumpsuits makes life easy.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Like
it's
all the
like
girls
going to
are
a
ready
Catholic
to
school. Like you got to wear the wardrobe.
Yeah,
Everybody has a jumpsuit
but
on.
the girls are ready to throw down, man. Ready to throw down. All right, so those are some would you rathers. So hopefully,
where did you get those from? Did you make those up yourself?
I think Ryan made them up. So Ryan made those up. He made a bunch of those up, so cool. Well, hey guys, we're gonna jump into tonight. For those of you that don't know, RobZ is a very affluent leader in our area when it comes to social media, culture, and just making a positive impact in what we're doing here in Blair County, but also other places. Rob has been a featured speaker at many different events. He's been a leader for a lot of us that are involved with social media or wanting to know more about podcasts or broadcasting. But he is also an entrepreneur that has really probably more than anyone in this area, launched podcasts and got into the idea of podcasting before really a lot of us have.
Especially Refuge. You guys just jumped on board now.
We just jumped on board now, yes.
Was that the inspiration for it? Just
yes.
say yes. Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
You'll be the inspiration for it. But Rob has been so inspirational in many lives in our community, but as well as mine and the leaders here. And so we are thankful that he is here. But for those of you who don't know RobZ, really, essence, how did you become this RobZ that people know you as today?
Well, I guess, whenever I was in junior high, I guess I was like 10 years old. I used to do a pretend radio show in my bedroom. So before like the internet existed, back in the 1900s. Does anybody know what the 1900s were like? It was a weird time back then. I did this pretend radio show in my bedroom when I was 10, and I would just have 2 CD players and play music and pretend that I was a radio DJ. And for some reason, that's what I wanted to do. And looking back on it, it's like a hot mic.
Yeah.
Whoa. Looking back on it, the internet wasn't really around yet. Podcasting didn't exist. YouTube, vlogging didn't exist. So I think if that was me, like if I was 10 now, I'd be doing like internet radio and making podcasts and vlogs, and I'd be doing that. But back then, there wasn't many options, right? I loved radio, really. I don't know what it was about it, but I was just kind of obsessed with it. And, when I was 15, then my mom asked me what I wanted to do with my life, and I said I wanted to be a radio DJ, and she laughed at me, kind of smirked, and gave me a chuckle, but she was like, all right, well, we can go get you a job in radio.
Yeah.
And she went and set me up with this guy, Tommy Edwards, who still works in radio on Rocky 104.9, and he let me sit in and watch a radio show, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is it. So I got a job when I turned 16, and I worked like a Sunday morning shift from 6 to noon, every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to noon, and I ran a church show, and then I ran a polka variety show.
A polka?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, real old school polka. And that was what I did for several years, and eventually, like, a spot opened up. I recorded nights on the radio station WPRR that I was working at, and just kind of worked my way up the ladder locally. It was, for a long time, I wasn't sure why I was doing it, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do it. But looking back on it, it's exactly what I should have been doing, because it brought me to where I am. So, and the RobZ name came from. I had this program director who ran a radio station called Power 100. And he had this idea of the alphabet posse. So we'd all have alphabet names. So there was like Andy B and Jimmy V and Double D and Rob Z. And it was a terrible idea looking back on it. But luckily the name was simple and it stuck. And I just decided that's what I'm going to go with. Maybe out of laziness or maybe it was intuition. I don't know.
Intuition. Rob Z. Well, let me ask you this, because as you're talking about the radio then, would you equivalent what YouTube is today to what radio is back then, where you have many of these, and even kids that we have here and students that we have here and former students that we have here who are jumping into this social media and into videos and vlogging and doing all this? Would you think that is equivalent to what the radio was when we were
on like a local level? Yeah, because I didn't want to be on the news because you have to read from a script, and it just all seems like I got to do what somebody else tells me. Radio's a little more free form, and you can kind of, you have some room to create what you want. So yeah, definitely, that was like my outlet, right? I was very shy, I was very introverted, and I didn't have a whole lot of self-esteem. And I think that my idea was, if I get into radio, I can talk to people, but there's nobody there. I can just stare at a wall and talk. Yeah. Right? And that might help me open up. And over the years, it definitely did. I don't really know if I thought of it like that back then exactly, but it was just like I knew I wanted to create and be in broadcasting in some way, and that just seemed like the easiest one. It was in town, and it was, in 1999, that's what a lot of kids that I knew wanted to do too. They wanted to be in broadcasting, but the internet didn't exist, so what are you going to do? Yeah. I didn't want to move anywhere, so. Yeah, well, that actually leads me to our next question, because a lot of times people have this assumption, or they figure like, oh, you went to New York City, you went to Los Angeles, you went to Chicago, you went to one of these big cities to train, to learn how. But really, you grew up as a teenager in Altoona. Yes. Yeah,
So,
I never left Altoona.
So how did growing up in Altoona, what did you think about this area? How did that affect you? Because we talk about this a lot, you and I, when we have discussions about so many people, we hear the comment, I just can't wait to get out of here.
Yeah.
If I get out of here, I can achieve my dreams. If I get out of here, I can do this. I get out of here, I can do that. And for someone who has achieved their dreams and has continued achieving your dreams, what do you say to that response? How does that work for you growing up in this area?
I always wanted to leave Altoona when I was young, right?
Yeah.
It was like, I got to get out of here. And I never did. I don't know there's probably plenty of reasons why I didn't, but looking back on it, I'm really glad that I didn't. I grew so much here, and I have so much love here and so much support, and my whole family's in town. So I guess, looking back, I talked to Tyrone in high school a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking kids that question, who wanted to leave when they graduated, and tons of people raised their hands. And back in 1999, I guess you didn't have the internet, so you couldn't create, it was very hard to create something on your own.
Yeah.
The world we live in now, how many of you watch YouTube? Are you guys on YouTube and Instagram, right? Most of the people who start on those platforms start in their hometown, wherever they live at. And then whatever happens, happens. But you don't need to go anywhere to create now. You can just do it in your bedroom.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's really quite amazing what has happened over the past 10, 15 years. And so I'm really happy that I never left. Because if I would have left, I was very fearful, so I probably would have fell on my face, and I would have lost my job in radio and maybe never got back into it.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. So yeah, I'm happy that it turned out the way that it did.
Yeah.
Did I answer that? Was there another question there?
Well, no, and I think that's good that you don't have to go anywhere to achieve the dream that God puts in your heart.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because God will equip you and place you right where he needs you to be in order to learn to become what you need to become.
Yeah, I think for myself, I was always looking for an external source to give me confidence or to make me happy. And what I've realized over the past, it's been about 4 years, it's all just inside of me, inside of all of us. That whatever it is that you need for that growth to achieve what you want to do, it lives inside of all of us. You just have to figure out how to tap into it. And that's, refuge, going to church, God, Jesus, tapping into that and spending time learning it and understanding it and building that relationship, right, is what brings that out.
Yeah. So we know, being in the entertainment industry or broadcast industry, that there are major challenges that you face sometimes. So how do you, as a Christian, as an individual, how do you deal with the hardship, the hatred, the people that come against you? How do you deal with those major challenges, and how did you used to deal with them?
I'd curl up in a ball and cry pretty much. That was, I'd just be terrified of somebody saying something bad, or even getting on stage like this. I never wanted to be on stages. It scared me to death. Even when everybody was singing, when I sing at church, I always stand in the back. Yeah. I'm an introvert, but I've learned to be an extrovert because I know how, inside I want to be that, right? Yeah. So I have this constant battle back and forth with myself. And go back, say that question one more time. Just I had something there and I lost it now.
So what are some of the major challenges you face, and how, as a Christian, over the last several years, have you dealt with them as you, in the last several years compared to where you were years ago?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the students and I, we discuss one-on-one or in groups how there are so many people that, the bullying, the hatred, the people coming at you, the people wanting you not to succeed.
Right.
So someone that's in this entertainment industry that can be very cutthroat, that can be very hard and difficult, how do you walk through that?
And not even in the entertainment industry, because anybody now who's on social media, right, everybody gets somebody. There's always a troll somewhere. There's always somebody trolling or trying to get under your skin.
Yeah.
And it used to bother me, but I look at it now as an opportunity to grow, right? Everybody who challenges you, or anything that's put in your way that challenges you, is a chance to get closer to God, is a chance to build self-discipline. And my friend, I've been talking about this a lot lately. My friend Matt, he's very successful. He lives in Erie, and he calls it promise stacking, okay? So when you make a promise to yourself that you're gonna do something and you don't follow through with it, and say you had a friend, and you always promised that friend you would do stuff and you never came through, that friendship would fall apart, right? You wouldn't trust that person anymore. It wouldn't be a good relationship. It's the same with yourself.
Yeah.
So if you make promises to yourself and you don't keep those promises, then you lose trust in yourself, and that's where low self-esteem comes from. And that's huge to me, because whenever you are being trolled or somebody's challenging you, something in life is challenging you, and you're like, all right, I know this, the way I look at it now is like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to grow. This is a challenge. I'm going to promise myself that I'm going to get through this thing. And then when I do, I've built more self-confidence. And I've built that within me. And I think when it comes to God and when it comes to Jesus, I feel like those things that are thrown at you that seem like they're going to wreck your life are gifts. They're challenges. They're blessings for you to grow through them. And if you can figure that out, and if you can have that perspective, which I didn't have it for a long time, so I'm really, anybody who's sitting here right now, like whenever I was your age, didn't understand this stuff. It didn't make any sense to me. So the fact that you might have a chance to understand it at a younger age is huge. And I would just think of that, the stuff that seems really hard, how could it be a benefit? How could it be a positive if you looked at it in a different way? And that's how I try to look at anything that's bothering me, or like I feel like is holding me back.
No, that's really good. So let's kind of shift gears here. You grew up in this area. Your family's from this area. They've lived here and have been successful. But growing up, when it came to the aspect of faith, God, Jesus, where were you at? Where were you at their age? Where were you when you were a teenager, when you were walking through? Were you a Christian growing up? Did you concern yourself with faith? Where were you when you were their age when it came to this whole thing about God, Jesus, faith?
My parents made me go to church, so I went to church, but I didn't understand or get it. Nothing ever stuck to me. I never had a connection, right? So I grew up, I was baptized Catholic, and then I was confirmed Lutheran. I lived in Sinking Valley. Which, you guys know where Sinking Valley is? It's like in the country, pretty much. I lived back there until I was 18, and we went to a Lutheran church, and I remember being sweaty in church. I was always sweaty. I don't know why. And I always had a runny nose. My mom would always get mad at me, like, you're always sniffling in church. Stop sniffling. I'm like, I have a runny nose. I don't know what to do. There were too many flowers or something. I don't know. Yeah. And I just never. I was in a Bible. I was in like a Bible school, but I never had a connection. I guess my parents went. My mom, my stepdad went sometimes. But my mom would go, and I don't know. We never talked about it. We would go, but we'd never talk about Jesus. We never talk about God. We just went to church and then went home, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I never really got anything out of it. And on my dad's side, he was more open to talk about God, but sometimes he didn't live his life the way that it seemed to match up with what he would say. Yeah. And that always confused me.
Yeah.
It's like, you're saying these things, but you're not doing these things. And even at a young age, I can remember thinking that. So I didn't have a bad relationship. I just didn't have a relationship.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that we have this understanding that, God puts us in these families, and sometimes, relationship with Jesus, we can be introduced through our parents or grandparents, whatever, but it's really up to us to cultivate that relationship.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to be able to, if we want more, to go after more. So leading up to that, how did you come to then really accept Jesus into your life and really begin to say, hey, this thing is real. Like, I'm really doing this. Like, I'm going to live as a Christian, and I'm accepting this. When did this all click? What kind of led you to that point?
I felt like something was missing. I always felt like there was something. You guys ever feel like there's something missing in your life? Anybody? Put your hands up. Something like there's something you're supposed to be doing, or like something you're supposed to be achieving, or grow. There's supposed to be some sort of growth happening, but you're not. You're like, well, I don't know what it is. I can just feel it. And that's how, when I first met up with you at the Clay Cup, 2.5 years ago, that's what I was feeling. Like, I've learned some stuff, but I'm not fulfilled. And I'm still not fulfilled right now. I still want to keep learning and growing, and I think that's the beautiful thing about when you start to step into learning about God, learning about Jesus, reading the Bible, putting yourself in that mindset. There's a never-ending growth cycle.
Yes.
But I love that, because then it's, I think about like when you retire from a job, right? Oh, you're going to retire, then you'll just sit around forever. Like, that sounds terrible, just to sit around and not continue to grow. So it was something within me, like, where I shouldn't say wasted, but through my teens and my 20s, I just watched TV and movies and didn't really do anything, which I'm sure that's what, and played video games, right? That was pretty much all I did. And I think I just got sick of it. I was fed up. I was like, I'm doing all this and none of it's making me happy. I'm actually more miserable. I needed something. And there was always something in the back of my head that was saying that there was more to get out of life, and I had like a mission, I had a purpose. Yeah. And I think a lot of us feel that, we don't know what to do with it. And that was kind of I remember when I first met you, you told me that I was hungry. Yeah. That I was hungry for Jesus, and that's what it is. I going back to my family, going back to whenever I was young, and we would go to church, but I didn't have a connection to it. I needed a connection. I needed to understand what that was. And to be honest, I find that more when I sit in my room by myself and I'm meditating and I'm praying, that's when I get like this super close connection. And whenever I started feeling that, that's when things started to change, where I was like, okay, I've got something here. Not saying that going to church or anything like that was a detriment, because it was a wonderful thing, but there's nothing quite like the one-on-one relationship. So that's where it really kicked into gear. Yeah,
and we live in a society where, so often when we speak about Jesus or these kids speak about faith in their school, instantly persecuted, instantly told they have to shut up, instantly told that they can't do this, they can't do that. So
if you bring up the word, you're shut down.
Yeah, you get shut down. And so why is it important when you are this public figure that our community sees, that people know? Why is it important for you? Why is faith important to you at that aspect, where you know that if you talk about God, there's going to be people out there that are going to shut you down. There's going to be people out there that hate you. And people are, I'm not listening to your podcast anymore.
It can automatically turn somebody off, right?
Yes.
And I think that's whatever. I mean, it's definitely just a preference. And when you hear the word and that automatically you tune out, that means you have something to learn, I think. There's a message there, or something. Like, I look at that as a chance to grow. Yeah. Like, I love growing. Yeah. When you get done with high school or you get done with college and people are forcing you to learn, that's usually when people just stop learning. I feel like that's when I actually started learning. Well, I shouldn't. No, I floated after college. I floated for a long time. But around 30, 31, I'm 36 now, I really started to just dive into reading books, reading the Bible, and reading anything that was just... It was about growth, about leadership, about doing more and creating something for yourself and creating something for your life. And that was a path that will never end. Like, I'm just going to keep going on that journey. Yeah. I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah, well, and it's so, why is that faith important to you as a public figure?
Oh, it's so important because I feel that if you don't have a purpose, you're just going to be giving people empty information, right? So if you're going to be doing entertaining things or making videos or being on the radio or whatever that is, you should have a mission behind it, right? Yeah. You should have something behind it that is bigger than you. Yeah. Okay? And one of the things I've come up with, for my podcast, I have this concept of I call it creating superheroes, right? Because we all have a superpower. You've been on talking about it.
We've talked about this.
And the idea is we all have something that we're naturally acclimated towards. We're naturally good at something. And that when we do that something, that thing gives us energy. Yeah. Instead of sucking the energy out of us, it pumps us up and gives us energy. And it's something that we can share with other people and add value to their lives. Yeah. And I think that's the gift that God gave you. That thing that if you don't search for it and find what it is, you're always going to be wondering why something's missing in your life, why there's an emptiness. Yeah. So I think that's if I attach faith to what I'm doing, that is the reason, is I feel like I have a purpose to do what I'm doing. Yeah. And there's a message that is coming through me. It's not from me, but it's coming through me.
Yeah. Well, and I think of guys like Preston's, who's here, and Chris, who's here, who these guys put out things on Instagram, and they're putting out so many positive things all of the time. Yeah. Because they were sick of the negative. Yeah. They were sick of the complaining, and they were sick of all of that. And so that's a great example of just guys that are present with us even today.
And let me say just on that.
Yeah.
When you're making content online, how many people have made a video and they put it up online or something like that? How many of you have done that? Okay. Even on Snapchat or on Instagram stories or whatever. There's so much growth in creating content. You learn so much about yourself, which is something that I didn't see coming, was when you have to sit down and make a video, or you're compelled to do it, you learn so much about yourself. You know, first of all, you're going to hear what you sound like, which you're probably going to hate initially. You're going to see what you look like whenever you talk, and you're not going to like that.
Yeah.
And then somebody might criticize it. And then what am I going to talk about? Do I actually have anything important to say? Does anybody actually want to listen to me? All these things pop up in your head. And most of the time, that's where people shut down. They're like, I'm never doing that again. That was too terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's actually a huge opportunity for growth. And I really think that the world we're living in right now, we're living in a very rare time.
Yeah.
Social media in the way it exists right now has existed for maybe a decade. It's such a weird time, and there's so much opportunity, not just for like making money, but there's so much opportunity to change the perspective of everybody who follows you, everybody around you, and yourself, to put yourself in a new category. And if you look at, I'm not bashing like newspapers or news, right? But if you look at a newspaper, which I'm sure you guys all read newspapers, right? For sure, every single day. But if you look at newspapers, it's almost all negative.
Yeah.
If you read the news, or you watch the news, almost all negative. And I'm sick, just like saying you're sick of seeing negative stuff online. I'm just sick of seeing negative stuff in general. There's always been the it bleeds, it leads mentality. Like if something is a gruesome story, it's going to get attention. But that's the same for positive news.
Yeah.
It works the same way.
Wow.
And so I want to change that narrative. That's in my life and in other people's lives too.
Man, that's powerful to change the narrative and to change the conversation. So Ryan, go ahead and put that other slide up. So I got one more question for you, and then what we're going to do is students, if you have a question that you want to ask Rob, you can text the phone 814-889-9113. So if you want to ask him a question, they will be filtered, so they will go to Ryan, and then Ryan will.
You can ask me the unfiltered questions later if you need to.
Yeah, the unfiltered questions we can talk about later. But so many of these students have dreams, they have goals, and they have things that they want to see accomplished, whether it's here or somewhere else. Mm-hmm. What is the best advice that you can give to a generation of students to pursue their dream? What is important? What can you speak into their lives to help encourage them?
I would just say do something. Just don't do nothing, right? Because when it comes to the thing, whatever that, how many of you feel like you have something in you, you're like, oh, I really want to do this thing. I want to create this thing. And you kind of know what it is, but you're not like fully sure how to do it, but you know there's something like that you want to do. Can anybody just put their hand up? I have a very vague question. Can anybody give me an example of what that thing is? Anybody want to shout it out? Yeah?
I'd like to start trying to bring more people to refuge.
Oh, wow.
That's a good answer
Okay.
right there.
All right.
That might be the best
Did you
answer of the
pay her
night.
to say that? Because it
Yeah,
seems
I'll
like
give
that
you
was a
my-
planted question.
You can
or
get some
planted
at the
answer.
snack bar later.
So there you go. So how could you do that? So here's the thing, right? If that's what you want to do. How? And I'm just going to ask you, I won't stay on you, but like, how could you do that? What's one thing you could do like to make that happen? Yeah, definitely. Wear a refuge, and beyond that, like wear a refuge t-shirt and like get on the back, what is Refuge Youth Network? And like pose the question, start asking questions. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is, this is what I've learned over the past few years. And I was always too like shy to reach out to people or embarrassed to like admit that I didn't know something.
Yeah.
So now it's like when I find somebody who knows something that I want to know, I just ask them questions. I just start like berating them with questions, almost to the point where I'm annoying myself. But when you want to figure something out and you don't have the answers, and of course you can look online, of course you can find the answers online, but there's nothing better than an in-person mentor or somebody that you can learn from. So I would say, whatever it is that you want to do, find somebody who's doing it, who's an adult, and don't be afraid to ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that is the biggest thing. Yeah. Whatever it is that you're interested in or passionate about, first of all, if you don't pick something that you want to do, if you don't have an intention and go after that intention, people are going to make you follow their intentions. So if you don't have something you're going after, you're going to follow somebody else's.
So if you're not leading, you're going to be following.
You're going to be followed. It's just how it is. So, yeah, I would ask questions, find people who do what you want to do, and just try to get closer to them. Try to just find out how they did what they did. I love the concept of reverse engineering, where like somebody already has an outcome that you want, and you figure out how they started on that path. So that would be my answer.
That's good. That's a good answer. So Ryan, do we have one of the first questions? Do you miss Hot 100?
Yeah, kind of. I miss doing a live morning show, but I don't miss waking up at 5 in the morning.
Whoa.
So I'm still in radio technically. Like I do it on my own independently now. So I don't really miss Hot 100.
Yeah.
No,
So
but
if
I miss doing a morning show. Yeah.
Morning show.
Yeah.
So if they want to listen to you now on the radio, go ahead and give a plug.
If there's actually it's called Hotter 101. So it's like an online only station, but it's not Hot 100. It's Hotter 101, and I'm on there in the morning from 6 to 10 a.m. It's recorded though, and then on Mix 94.7, I'm on 3 to 7 p.m. every day. So from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. So it's the same show, 2 different times during the day. So if you want to listen, you can.
And podcasts.
And the RobZ Radio is the podcast.
And
So
that's on all platforms? Or?
On every podcast platform. And then you could follow me on Facebook, or is anybody here on Facebook? Is that even, okay, it's like MySpace now, like nobody wants to touch it.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, Facebook or Instagram, RobZ Radio is probably the best place to find like videos of me.
All right, awesome. Let's go on to the next one.
What was that last one?
I was asking you what your new radio show was.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. Did you ever think you wouldn't make it in radio? What was your backup plan?
Yeah, I don't even know if I did make it in radio. I still feel like I'm still trying to make it in radio. So it's funny, whenever you're chasing something you really love, it's never like I made it, because there's always like somewhere else you want to go. It's like, I got to this place, now I want to go here, and then I want to go there. And I think that's the goal of having a dream, is it never ends.
Wow.
And my backup plan, I don't know. I worked at Hooters as a cook for a while. I worked at Subway. I wasn't on the floor at Hooters. I was behind there cooking.
Yeah.
It didn't work out that way. I worked at Subway. I had so many meaningless jobs that I worked at a racket club. The answer is no. There was no backup plan.
So it was like radio or fail.
I would say broadcasting.
Broadcasting.
Because that radio now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at one point I got fired from radio when I was 20. I think I was 22 or 23.
Oh, wow.
They fired me for like 2 weeks and then hired me back. And I was going to go be a car salesman. That was my idea.
Car salesman.
I don't know.
Hey.
That's all I could come up with. I was like, yeah, I'll go try that.
Go try that out.
But then they literally called me back and said, hey, Rob, you can have your job back now. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I got a raise and got my job back. So it actually worked out.
Well, that works out good in the end. All right, let's go on to another one that we might have. Who has been one of your biggest influences and why?
Oh, Micah Marshall, for sure, top of the list.
I
mean, number one. Yeah,
he also gets stuff at the snack bar after.
$20 here.
Yeah.
Who has been one of my biggest influences? Man, there's so many different people that I really look up to. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's always been a guy, and he's probably pretty old for anybody listening at this point, but there was something about him whenever I was growing up. My dad was a bodybuilder, and I lifted weights for a long time. I haven't in a few years. But the guy's drive and his passion, and like he just had and he talks about this in videos. I watch a lot of his videos, and he always talks about he had vision. He had a vision for what he wanted. So if anybody doesn't know Arnold Schwarzenegger, like he was Mr. Olympia, greatest bodybuilder in the world in the 70s, like just huge.
Yeah.
Then he became a huge action movie star, and then he became governor of California. And he would always talk about vision, and he would always talk about how he would visualize what he was going to do. He would sit down and he could picture himself on the stage winning. He'd picture himself in an action movie, and that always captivated me. Like, that's actually what you have to do to make things happen. And the older I've become, the more I realize that works, like the manifestation, picturing what you want in your mind and building like a reality in your mind for like what that is. And I think that's what God has given us is we, like the world is kind of our playground, but a lot of us look at it as this place that has all of these things that are holding us back or holding us down. We can't achieve this, we can't achieve that. It's actually the exact opposite.
Wow.
And somebody like him, for whatever reason, he just inherently knew that somehow.
Yeah.
So he knew to picture what he wanted. He knew how to have a vision for it and then create it. And everything that he had a vision for, he created.
Wow.
And that's, I just think that's amazing. It's incredible that is real and you can do that.
Yeah.
And you have to have faith, you got to trust. And you have to hold a real vision of it in your mind. Like not just think about it, but can you picture it?
Yeah.
And can you attach emotion to it? What does it feel like? That kind of thing. It's crazy. It sounds too good to be true, but it's actually real.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good Arnold. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Let's go on to another one. Would you move all over for the place for your job?
No, I wouldn't, because I could have, and I never did. I never left. So
Yeah.
I would travel. I think my wife and I talk about this. I think it'd be cool to travel, but stay in Altoona.
Yeah.
But just move around wherever you want to go. I think that's the real, in the world we live in now with the internet, you can do that. You can live.
Yeah.
We could have our house. We've been talking about this. We could Airbnb our house out. Travel for a month, or go like we were talking about like in February. We could, because my job's pretty mobile. She's a nurse, so it's not quite as mobile. But like, I could Airbnb the house out for a month, move to Florida, live there for a month, come back in March or April or whatever. And I don't think there's any reason to move. I think you can move without moving.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Temporary moving, not permanent moving.
And you have done some traveling for trainings and things like that in Virginia and other places.
California. Florida.
Because you have your own people that you follow on YouTube.
Yeah.
That you have learned from and that you've been around. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
The people that I've learned from? Yeah, sure. There's this guy, Ty Lopez. He does a lot of marketing online. He's a big internet marketer. I've learned a lot from him. This guy, Billy Jean is marketing. He's amazing. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've learned a lot from. Tony Robbins, I think one of the top on that list. Boy, who else is there? There's so many on the spot. I can't think of all the names, but there's so many people. I'm actually always curious about, like, who do you guys watch? Like, who inspires you that you watch online? Shout a name out.
Oh, jeez.
That was that was well placed. Maybe that's honest, I don't know. But, okay, there you go. Anybody else? Afmao? Who's that?
Who?
See, this is what I love now. Like, whenever I was your age, there was only like a small list of people you could shout out the names of, because everybody knew the same people. Because it was like MTV, cable fed you information. Now the internet, everybody knows different people. It's such an interesting world. Jack Seppi. Is he on YouTube? Okay. What does he do? But what are they about? They're all different.
All different things.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing is, like, you can make videos about whatever you want now, and it can become hugely successful. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Well,
Snoop's an amazing one too. I mean, what he's done with his going from where he came from to where he is now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those hip hop stories, like Eminem's story, those guys, like, it's amazing, the perseverance.
Yeah.
That always blows me away. Conor McGregor's one of those guys. It's like the perseverance of that dude is incredible.
Yeah.
It's so, and he's another guy who talks about vision. Talks about he can visualize it in his head and he makes it a reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge.
Yeah. How do we get 1,000 kids?
Oh, wow.
To Refuge? Ryan said he would shave his beard if we do 1,000 kids.
Oh, 1,000 kids. Jeez. How do we get 1,000 kids to Refuge?
That's 1,000 kids. We can't even fit 1,000 in this room. Like, we
so
cannot.
is this a mission, like, that you guys are on?
Well, I thought it was 100 kids. If we got 1,000
kids. Oh, he's
kids,
bumped it up now. The beard keeps growing. The numbers go up.
So that'd be 1,000 kids. Wow, that would.
I would like start a campaign at every single junior high and high school to have like Refuge Youth Network Day.
Shave the beard.
Well, shave the beard. Shave the beard, but also, like, imagine, like, if every school got on board with, like, Refuge Youth Network Day and they all had, like, a giant assembly where they all had to meet up. I don't know.
We'd have to.
It happens. It's happened before. It could happen with you guys.
It could happen again, yeah.
That's a very big answer.
This next question is really good because we have not talked about him yet. And he was actually one of the questions that we were going to. Your son, Max, is really funny. If you've not seen some of these videos, Max is hysterical. What are some of your funniest moments with him?
Oh, man. Every single day is a funny moment. So I live on Logan Boulevard, and right down the street from us, there was has anybody seen that the giant Halloween display on Logan Boulevard, like by Baker's School, with the horse skeleton and the Grim Reaper and stuff? So Max is obsessed with Halloween, and we've been to that person's house at least 10 times now. And he goes and he poses. He has me take my phone, and I take pictures of him posing with the skeletons, and he's making like these super scary faces. And so now, like, he wants to do a haunted house. He wants to like stand in the yard and dress as he has a skeleton outfit, and he wants to dress and be a skeleton in the front yard and scare people. But he does these hilarious poses, like where he's like, and makes these crazy faces. And I don't even know. It must be Nini's personality, because I don't have the animation that he has is hilarious. So that's some of the funniest stuff we've done is that. Another thing, we used to love to go to Kmart.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to Kmart. Anybody
no
else miss Kmart desperately?
Kmart.
Love that place.
Yeah.
My wife, Max, and we would love to go to department stores and just goof off. That's one of the things we'd love to do. So we would have like relay races in the aisles. And Kmart was great because nobody was there. It was just like a ghost town.
Yeah.
So you could do whatever you wanted. And we would just run around and like hide in clothes racks. And what's another really funny thing that there's so many. He went through a period of saying lame a lot, and I found that to be really funny. Everything was like, no, that's lame. But he would say leam, and I always laughed at that. That phase ended.
Lame.
Just watch that. If you're around him, you'll realize that every 5 seconds he's doing something funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know Bethany
He's a comedian.
I like just being around him for several minutes, he's cracking us up.
He's like a 40-year-old man in a 5-year-old kid's body.
He is.
Like, he has so much knowledge somehow. I don't know how. He told me, one of the funniest things he does do is he'll tell me about his brain. He talks about his brain a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, Dad, my brain keeps thinking these things, and I don't want to think them. I get mad, and I don't want to be mad, Dad. My brain just tells me to be mad, and I don't know how to stop it. And I just what 5-year-old says that?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
But
all right,
those
so
are
we
examples.
have what, one more question? All right. I know what I want to do in my life, but how do I know it's God's plan for me?
Oh, wow. Well, if you know what you want to do, that's because God probably planted it there. Does anybody want to say who was that? Do you want to say what it is? We can keep it a secret. We can keep it a secret. Yeah? It was you? Yeah. What is it, dude? I want to be a pastor. Oh, wow. Well, how wouldn't that be God's plan?
That's
right?
good. That's.
I think, if you whatever it is that you want to do, if you got to look at it like if it's positive and it's serving other people and helping them, then I think that's God's plan. And really, it's gonna be a journey. That's the cool part, is like you might think that is the thing, but then once you start going towards that thing, I think really what God wants you to do is act.
Yeah.
He wants you to do something, and then he's gonna guide you on that path wherever it goes. Wherever it goes, you can't picture where it's gonna take you.
Yeah.
Because whatever you picture might not be the final outcome. So it's going to be like he wants you to just act on something, do something, and then through that it'll like create itself. You'll figure it out. So I would say do it.
Do it. Do it. So is there any lasting or any advice that you would love to be able to share with these students as we close? Any wisdom, anything that you would like to?
I would say adults aren't much different than kids, or you guys. I don't want to call you kids, but I think the adults, I still feel like I'm like 15 years old all the time. I'm still afraid of adults. So like, it's like I've never grown up. I think that's a big thing, is most adults have no idea what they're doing, and just remember that we're all still confused too. It seems like once you grow up, it's like, you're 30 years old. You're almost dead, and you also have everything figured out.
Yeah.
And neither one of those things are true.
Not at all.
You got a long time to live, and you have a lot of stuff to figure out. So just don't be afraid to ask adults questions. Don't be afraid to approach them, because even though they're still figuring it out, they probably have more information than you do, and they can probably help you out in the path somewhere along the line. Yeah. But just remember that I try to I'm reminded constantly that I still am very much a kid.
Yeah.
And especially being around you guys, I feel I can totally remember what it's like to be in like 8th grade.
Yeah.
And how terrified I was all the time, which is, I don't know why that's never gone away, but I still remember that. And one of my missions in life is like to find me in 8th grade and teach me all the stuff that I know now.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always that thing, what is it, like, I wish I could go back to like 7th grade and do it all over again with what I know now. I actually don't think that. I think that the message is you should be able to go back and help somebody else in 7th grade be what you've learned now at a younger age. I think that's huge.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for dialoguing and hanging out with us. We will have some time after where if you want to.
Slow clap. That was good.
Slow clap. That was good.
Nice start. Thank you.
He started it. We will have some time after for you, the kids, if you guys want to talk to them, if you want to take a picture, if you want to, whatever you want to do, we do have some time. But let's do this. Let's bow our heads tonight, close our eyes. And one thing that we always do when we have guests as well is we also pray over them. And so we just want to pray over Rob tonight. So if you guys want to stand your hands forward, if you don't, that's fine. But let's just pray. Let's pray for Rob tonight. Pray his blessing. God, we just thank you and praise you for Rob. We thank you for the inspiration that he is to so many of us. And God, how he has inspired us and how he has challenged us. And God, I pray tonight through his story and through his success and what he has done and through his failures and what he has learned, God, as he has just talked about all of that tonight, that you will help us learn from him. You will help us grasp understanding of all of these things. But God, I pray that you bless him. I pray that this next season of his life will be the best season that he has ever had. God, I pray that you will just expand his influence, expand what he does. God, I pray that you would continue to bring him closer to you, continue to allow him to fall more in love with you than ever before. God, I pray that you bless Nini and bless Max. God, allow them to continue to grow in relationship with you as well. And God, I just thank you and praise you for him. I pray that you continue to allow him to dream bigger dreams, to do more than he's already done. And God, just allow him to continue to just make a positive influence, not just in this community, but in any life that he encounters. So God, we just thank you for him. In Jesus' name, amen.